Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Dominating Diversity, the podcast where we spotlight lived experiences that often stay unheard, unseen, or misjudged. I'm your host, Brooke Tahir, and today, again, I'm getting personal. We're exploring a condition that not only impacts my body every single day, but has also deeply shaped how I navigate the world. It's POTS, Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome. This episode is titled My Life with POTS, The Invisible Struggle, because that's exactly what it is. Most people don't see it, but every day with POTS is a negotiation between my body, my responsibilities, and my health. POTS is a form of dysautonomia, a disorder of the autonomic nervous system, the system that's supposed to automatically regulate things like the heart rate, blood pressure, digestion, and temperature. In people with POTS, something goes wrong. The hallmark symptom? Well, when I go from lying or sitting to standing, my heart rate can spike by 30 beats per minute or more within seconds. I've had heart rates of up to nearly 200, and that's normal for me. But it's not just the heart rate. Let me break some things down, my daily symptoms. So I experience things like lightheadedness and feeling faint, especially after standing even for a short while. Heart palpitations, feeling like my chest thuds like I've run a marathon just walking across a room. Extreme fatigue, which is not just tiredness, but like I'm being pulled underwater. Nausea and gastrointestinal issues, especially after eating. Temperature swings, I overheat or freeze without warning. Shakiness, especially my hands. And exercise intolerance. Any exertion can wipe me out for hours or even days. And one of the hardest is brain fog. This is completely intersectional and runs over many of my illnesses, but it's like your brain forgets how to think. Words disappear, concentration vanishes, and the decision making becomes impossible. Most people, when diagnosed, are offered medications like beta blockers or fludrocortisone or midodrine, aimed at stabilizing heart rate or increasing blood volume. For me, medication made things worse. I felt even more dizzy, my blood pressure dropped dangerously low, my mental clarity evaporated, and I felt trapped inside my own body. It was devastating. I thought, if I can't even tolerate the treatment, how am I going to live with this? So I had to learn how to manage POTS without medication. And honestly, that journey was a crash course in radical self-awareness and self-care. Here's what helps me get through a day in practical terms. Lots of salt. Salt, salt, salt. Sodium helps me keep blood volume up. I have salt tablets, electrolyte drinks, salty snacks. It's a lifeline for me. It also helps me with my adrenal problems that I get. Hydration is another thing. Although I must admit I'm not great with this. I drink a lot of Coke with no sugar, but I try to drink at least 3 liters of water or cordial a day. I start every morning with electrolytes. It's not optional. Dehydration equals collapse, especially after a warm shower. Compression gear, so tie abdominal binders and thigh-high compression socks, or stockings in my case, help keep blood from pooling in my legs. Without them, I'm dizzy within minutes. Another thing would be horizontal breaks. I lie down multiple times a day. Sometimes I work from the floor or the couch. Sitting upright too long? Nope. I've fainted in the past just from folding laundry. Pacing and pre-planning, I use a modified energy envelope approach. I plan my day like a budget. I, I know I only get so many energy dollars, and if I overspend, I crash. I have to be very careful of that. Small frequent meals, which I really suck at though, to be honest, but it is important. Large meals can make symptoms worse. I eat small portions more regularly and avoid high carb spikes. Cognitive aids would be another one. Because of brain fog, I use reminders, list, calendar. Google Calendar is my savior, and voice notes constantly. I don't rely on memory anymore. Temperature control, like fans, layers, cooling towels. I carry what I need to manage hot flushes and cold sensitivity. Mindfulness, breath work, and nervous system regulation. This isn't just about curing POTS, but calming my system down helps me with my reactivity. Sometimes just laying in a quiet darkness for 10 minutes is what I need. And the last one would be advocacy and boundaries. One of the hardest things I've had to learn was saying, I cannot do that today. And no, I've lost people who didn't understand, but I've also gained stronger connections and community with those who do. So what about technically living in a world that's not designed for us? When you live with POTS, especially untreated, the world feels unaccommodating. Standing queues, hot rooms, long meetings, unpredictable public transport, it's a minefield. Standing up on a bus will make me faint. Long meetings, I zone out. Hot rooms makes me faint. Standing in queues makes me faint. But because I look well on the outside, I'm often expected to perform like I'm not managing a full-time chronic health condition underneath, or multiple full-time chronic health conditions, to be honest. That invisibility really hurts. And it's why this episode and this conversation really matters. So for me, living with POTS without medication is difficult. I was offered a medication called Fasadrine at the Alfred Hospital. It's exclusive to the Alfred Hospital, and at the time it was in somewhat a trial. And I thought that that was my answer. So I tried it and it didn't work. I knew I was back to square one without medication. And life is difficult as a mother, trying to chase the kids around. I can't bend down to put a nappy on and stand up without having to go super slowly. Sometimes after 5 o'clock, I'm just a mess. I cannot move around. I cannot stand. Um, it, uh, Trying to explain to people when I have to stand in a long queue that I can't do it, it makes me look like that I expect to be royalty, skip the queue. But people don't understand that I'm not just like any other person. I have a reason for not not being able to stand in that queue. I've also got a disability parking pass because my heart can go really out of control really, really quickly. Um, I have been abused multiple times about this parking pass. I've had elderly people come up to me and say, "You don't look very sick," or, um, "Well, you don't look disabled," or, "Well, you're walking, why do you need that pass? Someone else could use it." They don't understand that if I pass out or if something happens to me and my kids are there, someone needs to race back to the car. I need steroids or something. So I manage my symptoms with lifestyle changes, but that doesn't really mean I'm not still sick. It just means I've adapted constantly, creatively, and often very painfully. So if you're listening and have POTS or any invisible illness, I want you to know that you don't have to look sick to be valid. And you don't have to explain every decision, and you're not weak. Your body is working overtime just to function. And if you're a friend or a colleague or an educator or an employer, be aware of the unseen. Trust that when someone says they're struggling, they really are. And you might not see it, but that doesn't mean that it's not real. And secondly, um, anxiety. So I got misdiagnosed. I mean, now I've got anxiety, but I did get diagnosed with anxiety as a false diagnosis because my heart rate was so high all the time. And anxiety is something that also causes that fast heart rate, especially when you're having an episode or an anxiety panic attack. But what if it isn't just anxiety? When I started passing out, and I was very, very young, I was about 5 when I started passing out after having a hot shower. Um, and even now, what happens, I go in the shower and it's warm, and suddenly I get black spotty vision, and I know that I need to drop down to the ground to regulate my body. So think about how you feel. Don't take the first answer that you get like I did. It's just anxiety, because it wasn't. It was my heart working completely overtime. So I just wanted to shed some light on that and how it feels for me. Soon we'll be having another guest that is able to talk about lived experiences. We're going to talk about it together, about how it is to work in a professional world and have a quite a high demand job with POTS disease and manage your illness, sort of hiding it from the public because we know that they won't understand. So please, if this episode moved you, share it, talk about it. Bring it up in your workplace, in your school, in your next meeting, because understanding is the first step toward inclusion, especially primary schools, because kids have this and it's just not discussed enough. So Thanks for joining me today on Dominating Diversity. My journey with POTS is only one story, but it speaks to a broader need for compassion, inclusion, and belief in the people whose challenges are invisible. And there's a lot of us out there. So until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep dominating diversity.